Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is Weeknights. I am JD, aka He Who Pods. Glasses on, so also rear view mirror.
I am Dash.
But say you
AKA
don't know who you are? You forgot?
forgot. I did. I almost said my real name.
Oh
So
no.
yeah.
You mean Dashing D is not your real name?
Not the one my parents gave me, but
I
you know. Not the one dad ran to the hospital and told everybody stop, he's got a name. Not that one.
thought that was it.
Nope. Anyway. Yeah, it's Monday. No, it's Tuesday.
I'm about to say it's not Monday
It's Tuesday.
because
Yesterday
Monday
was a
was Labor
holiday.
Day. And
Yes,
we took off with the rest of America.
we did. We did. You gotta love a federal holiday on a Monday.
That's it.
Yeah. So it's Tuesday. You know.
Yep.
I hope I know I don't sound so upbeat, but I am, hoorah, ready to go.
All right. Well, let's talk about one of your favorite people.
I wouldn't call him one of my favorite people. I think that's a stretch. I think that's a stretch. I have very few favorite people.
Okay.
This is someone that I like. I think I think what they're doing out in the world is a good thing.
Okay. Context.
Well, you brought it up.
All right. Keith Lee went to DC and the internet was upset with Keith Lee again.
Right.
Keith Lee said Keith Lee said that JD has no voice.
What is going on? Okay, let me take it away
Please do.
while you work on that. You go get you some honey or something. Um, so Keith Lee has been doing this food tour for I don't know the better part of a year or so. And what started prior to the food tour, as we know, we've talked about him before, but just to recap, Keith Lee became famous on TikTok. He has, I believe, upwards of 10 million followers at this point.
That's a
Keith
lot.
Lee, yeah, Keith Lee became famous because he would review food. Apparently, he considers himself a foodie. He goes to these restaurants and he tries different things. Um, he's done some work with brands, but not too much because that's not really a part of his mission. His mission is to help small businesses, particularly black businesses.
Right.
So the idea is that he will go to these restaurants, and because of the popularity that he has gained, because of the fact when he shows up to a restaurant and puts his stamp on it, there's a line out the door.
They
He's
call it the
trying
Keith
to
Lee effect.
They call it the Keith Lee effect. He's trying to use that for good. He said, okay, well, if this is how it's working, cool. I'll keep doing this, and then I'll do these reviews, and people can go and people can support these businesses.
Right.
It's good marketing for them, and he says it too. He'll say, hey, I'm going to this city because now it's turned into a food tour. I guess he's basically worked his area as much as he possibly could. He lives in Las Vegas, or he was based in Las Vegas. Um, so now he's been on this food tour. The food tour goes well in certain cities and then goes completely awry in major cities.
Yep.
He has had backlash from his food tour in New York, his
Yep.
food tour in San Francisco.
I didn't
Um,
know.
there's a third one that I am not thinking of right now.
And now
And now DC. Yeah. So there's a pattern, it seems. But DC in particular, he posts this video. I saw the video myself. He posts a video where he says, he's only posted. They've been there in DC for however many days. They've been driving around in the Sprinter for hours in a day. He says something like 8 hours or something like that. They were driving around in the Sprinter going to different restaurants. And he said of all the restaurants he has about maybe 4 or 5 that he's going to post in addition to what he had already posted, but he was not going to post all of the reviews from all of the places he went to. He felt like the places he went to had poor conditions. There was one place where he showed a video where they didn't have, he went in to ask them if they had running water. He's also allergic to shellfish, and anyone who knows the DMV area is very, very seafood forward. Maryland is known for their crabs.
Right.
So it's a place if you want to if you want to eat and you don't eat seafood, it might be a little bit more difficulty. It might be a little bit more difficult because that is their specialty. So he also, in the same video with the running water thing, there was also a couple of plates and styrofoam containers that he showed. He said just by looking at those images, you could tell it's not a place that he would go to. I thought that was a strange thing to say, but we could get into that. He also said, one of the first things he said, this was a separate video that came earlier on in the food tour. He said he felt like DC was very alcohol forward. That in order to have a good food experience, you had to be into alcohol. I didn't really understand what that meant. I assume maybe to sit down, maybe, I don't know, like, or maybe I assume maybe people are sending him to like bar type places or like lounge type places, which I, you don't. I don't know anywhere that actually requires you to drink unless you're sitting at a certain section of a restaurant or something like that, or maybe there's like a show involved where they give you a drink minimum. And then even then, I mean, it's not necessarily alcohol. It'll take you a really long time to get to the minimum if you don't drink alcohol. But
Right.
I don't know. My point, the point here is, people are pissed. People are really upset with him. They said, you came to DC, you went to all these terrible places, and now you're complaining about the food. They're like, DC has great food. Um, there's a small part of the people who are responding who are saying, oh, you're absolutely right. Mom and pop spots in DC aren't great. So I don't know. But people are mad at Keith Lee again on this food tour thing, which,
Yep.
what do you think? Before I
I,
say what I think.
I think he needs a better system for how he gets his recommendations.
Hmm.
I remember when he came to New York, one of the things he had was a salmon chopped cheese.
Yeah,
I
that's
have
what everybody.
never I have never heard of a salmon chopped cheese
Neither do I.
ever in life.
I don't even want to see what that looks like. That sounds gross.
Right. And so he was reviewing it as if it was a staple in New York. And
Right.
it's not. We never even heard of it. And so I think DC is a little different because I was told there was video of like he went into one establishment, they didn't have any gloves on. Then there was
Right.
another establishment, the person had gloves on, but that person was handling money and food with the same gloves and didn't change
Yeah.
their gloves.
Yeah.
Food safety conditions I can understand.
Totally
Um,
understand.
I'm not going to complain about food safety conditions because if I walked in a place and I've done it before actually, if I
Hmm.
walk in a place and I see the person handling food is also handling money, I ask them to change their gloves when it's time to touch my food,
Yeah. Same.
because that's not okay.
Hmm.
So those type of things I'm not going to say anything bad about, but I do think when it comes to trying the food and getting recommendations, whether it's mom and pop spots or not, I think he needs a new system because whatever system he's going through, whatever system he's using of hey, give me recommendations on TikTok, it's not working.
No.
I don't know if people are trying to sabotage him, which me and you spoke about off pod. I don't know if
In New
people
York, it
are.
seemed like that's what people were trying to do. People were just trying to mess with him.
Yeah,
That's
I don't
not
know. I
all,
don't.
but some. and
Yeah,
it seemed
I
like
don't
he took the bait
know.
on those.
Right. I don't know what should happen. I don't know because truly I'm not a Keith Lee follower.
Mhm.
I've seen some of his stuff, but I'm not a person who follows his every move. I mostly hear the uproar when people are mad about these city tours at this point. Prior to that, I heard about some good stuff, some bad stuff. All right, cool, whatever. But when it comes to this city tour thing he's doing, I think he needs a better system. It just doesn't make sense that you're just simply taking TikTok recommendations. There's sites like Time Out Magazine, Yelp. There's all type of places. Nobody paid us, so I'm not going to give a list, but there's all type of places you can look at for good food. And okay, I understand when it comes to quote unquote mom and pop spots, you can't go on Time Out Magazine for mom and pop spots, but it got to be something better that you could do because people are getting upset, and I understand why. If you're from a city and he's saying, "Well, the food was so horrible, I can't even put up a review," well, that's gonna upset people from the city.
I mean, sure. I mean, I don't know why people get so intensely upset about this particular thing because did you cook the food? Do you even go to that restaurant? Like, I don't understand why it matters that much to people. Maybe because I'm just used to having grown up in a place where there's so much and it's so saturated as far as food goes that you have options and some of them aren't great, but some of them are fantastic. And I don't, I'm not offended by someone going to somewhere in New York or New Jersey and not liking it. I just, I, personally, that doesn't bother me. But since people are upset and we have to talk about it, um, what I will say is I agree with you. I think that the system he's using now is a system that made sense when he was not as big of a name.
Okay.
Um, and I think when he was going locally to businesses in the place where he lived, it was a lot easier, right? Because he's out and about and he's seeing places that are opening up. He's seeing places that maybe are struggling. He's, getting recommendations maybe from friends or family or whoever. It's
Right.
very easy. Again, like I I love food. I consider myself a foodie. I take recommendations from people. I look things up. I look at photos. I look at videos. Like there's a lot of different ways that I find food. Um, so I don't think that I think that the system doesn't make sense anymore because you're on a larger scale and unfortunately people are going to have a reaction. That's
Yeah.
just a fact. Um, if the idea is to minimize that damage and to not offend people, then surely he should make some changes. Now, I think it's really hard. I know you mentioned, I'm not going to mention the places you mentioned, but you mentioned like those online blogs and places you can go to find food information. Um, That's true. But if the idea is to look for struggling businesses that don't have good marketing, businesses that maybe just need a little push, you're probably not going to find them in those places because they're already being amplified somewhere popular.
Yeah.
So I think that people forget that. I think that as people find out about Keith Lee, if they don't know his origins, they think that he's just going around and saying and just randomly picking spots and to find food. He's not looking for the hottest restaurant in the city. And I think people are getting mixed up with that. DC is a place where it's, for lack of a better word, it's popping. Like it's a busy city. It's a city that people go to a lot to visit. Um, so I'm sure a lot of the places that get recommended are popular places, are places that are already thriving. I think he's trying to avoid those places. I mean, look what happened when he went to Atlanta and he went to OLG, which is very, very popular.
Right.
I think that's where people are getting mixed up. And that's, again, why I'm saying I don't really understand why people are so offended by it. Because if the idea is to stay local, not go to the chain restaurants, not go to. I see sometimes I look at his comments and some of the things that people are recommending. I'm like, but that doesn't fit the model. I think I think that's where it becomes flawed in asking people for recommendations. A lot of people will only go to places that are popular. So just by on the strength of that alone, you have to be able to, if you're going to ask your followers, you have to be able to ask your followers, but you also got to ask other people. I think that he needs to find people locally that he knows, or every city you're not going to know somebody. I also think that he could contact local foodies. We have a bunch of local foodies in the New York, New Jersey area alone where I don't think everybody knows who they are, and they don't necessarily pick places that are always on the beaten path. They always on the path. They pick places that are off the beaten path. Like I don't want to start listing a whole bunch of people, but there's people who will be like, "Oh, cheap eats in New York City. You know, go to these places. This is delicious." Or, "Oh, hey, have you heard of this new spot? I don't think anybody knows about this new burger spot." I just feel like he could just contact them, like foodie to foodie. Hey, where do you eat in New York?
Right.
Because you live there. Where do you eat in the DMV area?
Right.
Because you live there. Also, maybe picking a city where you don't eat shellfish, where that is the biggest thing in the city. Probably not the best city to visit. And that experience should be even more curated. As someone who has food allergies, you gotta think even more granular about how you're gonna do that. The
Yeah.
DMV is big. It's not just DC.
Right.
It's huge. So you telling me you couldn't find good food? And honestly, anyone who really knows, the better food is in Baltimore, not DC. But again, gonna run into the same problem because Maryland crabs are very important to them. You know, I don't
Right.
know. I feel like it's the whole model is flawed now because he is still trying to maintain that he is just some guy from Vegas that just loves to eat. And honestly, if your palate is that limited, perhaps you are not able to deem yourself a foodie.
Well, I also think the other thing is, I don't disagree with that. I also think the other thing is this thing of I'm just a regular guy who likes to eat. That shit is over.
Yeah, it's absolutely over.
If you have 10 million followers, you are not just a regular guy who likes to eat anymore. So thinking that these establishments are going to treat you like a regular person, it doesn't make sense. Thinking that your followers are going to just be like, "Hey, thumbs up or thumbs down." No, like it's not realistic. I think he has to get rid of that common man shtick. At this point, you can't walk in a restaurant and just be like, "No, no, treat me like everyone else." Fam, that's over.
And you're not common because you're walking in with wads of cash and dropping down thousands of dollars as tips and for the next
Mhm.
100 people or whoever to come in and
And
eat. That's
and a
just not,
film crew.
huh?
And a film crew.
Right.
When you eat, do you take a film crew?
No,
No.
and he has said that usually, and somebody even asked this with the DC thing, because it seems like he actually went into certain places now, and it does seem like to some degree he's starting to embrace it. Because there was this one lady who made him chocolate covered strawberries, and he made sure he went to see her and pick up the strawberries. But there was a somebody said, I thought you don't go into the restaurants. Cause what I know of Keith Lee, and I haven't been keeping up with him this year as much as I did before, because I feel like the whole thing has changed. I don't like the food tour, but that's none of my business. Um, he he used to send his family in, as
Yeah,
far as
he was
I know,
in the car.
and he would stay in the car, or he would call and order from a place, and use a different name.
Right.
I think it's like, then embrace it. Embrace it. You don't have to change, right? You don't have to be a different person. You could still have your faith in God. You could still believe in amplifying small businesses. You can you can totally be philanthropic, but your face, your whole shtick. I was scrolling through TikTok the other day, and this girl who she bought a wig. She bought a wig and said, I got it, let's try it, and rate it 1 through 10. I said, all right. First of all, I don't know how I ended up on Wig Top, but just, but that's what I mean. Like, when I don't know how into Keith Lee this girl is, but I have never heard her mention anything about Keith Lee. And here this was. She didn't say his name, nothing, but I knew exactly what it was.
She was trying to steal his style.
Right. I think what he's tried to do is good, and I respect him for going on and saying that he's not going to mention the businesses because he doesn't want, hell to come
Backlash.
their way. But somebody made a good point. I was watching Higher Learning, and I will say this: Rachel Lindsay doesn't really care for Keith Lee. That's fine. But something that she said made a lot of sense to me. She was like, but okay, so I get that he was trying to protect the businesses, but was he? Because he said that and then showed pictures of the food. And of course, his 10 million followers went and, cross referenced some things and figured out the places. And what she was saying is, well, when you have 10 million followers, you have to know how the internet works at that point. And you
Nothing
have to
nothing
know
like a
that,
reverse image search.
right, and you have to know that they're going to be able to figure out where you got that food from, especially the locals, because some of the locals were in like, oh, I know where that's from. That's from the chicken spot on Avenue C.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. I think he's got to revamp things. I think that it's cool that the wife and the sister and the cousin are a part of the crew, but I think at this point he needs some sort of professional consultant to help him, to help curate his trips. Hey, let's sit down. This is the city I want to go to. This is the type of food I want. Boom. Let's figure this out. Also, a lot of people have been saying, and I have to agree with this, he's gonna have to expand his palette a little bit because I think part of what's happening is that he is picking restaurants based on what he likes.
Ah, I didn't know that.
Not it seems that he's not really stepping outside of his own comfort zone. And
Okay.
if that's the case, then, because someone made a good point, when you came to New York, you weren't just supposed to eat like a chopped cheese, but you also should have probably went to get some great Italian food.
Right.
You probably should have went to Brooklyn to get, instead of going to Cuts and Slices. No disrespect to Cuts and Slices, but maybe you should have went and got some oxtail from one of the Caribbean spots instead of getting oxtail pizza from Cuts and Slices. Like
Right.
things like that. I think things that are important to the local culture.
Right.
Because you can't go to Brooklyn, you can't go to Crown Heights, you can't go to Flatbush, the list goes on, without getting some good Caribbean food. You can't
Right.
go to Queens on Liberty Avenue without getting some good Caribbean food. I'm just saying that because those are the ones that I'm well versed in. But
Right.
Italian food is huge in New York.
Absolutely. I could have gave him 3 Italian spots.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like I think that
And they'd have been mom and pop spots. You know what I'm saying?
Right, and not just the chopped cheese. Like you should have just went and got a hero.
But what is a salmon chopped cheese?
I don't know, and I don't want to know. I thought I made that clear when you brought it up.
Because that's
I'm
not.
not interested.
Why you,
And I
Keith
love
Lee? Why
salmon,
you
and
did
I
that?
love cheese.
Keith Lee, why you did that to us?
I just good bagels. He could have went and gotten some good bagels. Like there's, but that's what I'm saying. And I know I keep going back to New York, and this is about DC, is because I'm not from DC, so I can't speak to all of the local fare in DC. I've been several times, but I ate good every
Right.
time I went.
I hear that.
Also, I am a woman who seeks good food, so I will do my research before I go anywhere to make sure that I am eating well.
Right.
But I don't know. He's making it look really easy, like any one of us could do this. And I don't believe the criticism that he needs to be a food critic and have gone to school to be able to do what he's doing. I don't agree with that. I think that's
Yeah,
nonsense.
I don't either.
But I think that he has to be more thoughtful about the way that he's doing this. And I get it. This he didn't know that this was going to be his life, and I think he is trying to maintain some sense of normalcy. Like they don't show the kids anymore. Like his wife has gotten a lot more involved, which all of these things are fine. But
I
I
seen her at
think,
the BET Awards.
oh yeah, I mean, he makes sure he takes her everywhere. But and she's very much a part of the experience because they eat the food too,
Okay.
especially and what. Oh my gosh, this is the one thing we didn't talk about. Did you see the video? I should have sent it to you, and then this will be the last thing. But did you see the video of them breaking the crabs?
No.
Oh my gosh! If nothing else pissed off the people of the DMV, it was the way they opened the crabs, because what he did was he had his wife and I believe his sister try out the seafood.
Okay.
They like somebody said they were doing CPR on the crab. I said, "Oh, all right."
Should have left Sebastian under the sea.
I stumbled on my food page. I stumbled upon somebody who posted a video and was like, "Hey, Keith Lee and your beautiful wife, we're gonna show you. We just bought some crabs and we're gonna show you how we open crabs over here."
Yes, love that.
And I think that's okay. I think it's
I
okay to
should
pull
I should go
people
get a
up.
chopped cheese and respond to the salmon video.
Which is fine. I think it's okay for people to do that. I think the whole, oh my gosh, I'm offended, don't come back here is weird. But he didn't like your food. Okay, so tell him where to go then. It's
Right.
not it's not personal.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. He's got to figure it out.
Yeah.
I like his reviews less now because I think it's all muddied and weird, and we also don't have the same palate.
Got it.
I just
Yeah, me either. I mean, I heard he doesn't like sweets, and you know me, I'm all about the sweets.
he
And in
doesn't. He
fact,
did.
I would love to do a city to city sweets tour. You know what I'm
Oh, I
saying?
would love that too.
I
I
would.
love pod trip.
Right. You know, Weeknights presents the
We
Sugar Tour.
the sugar to oh gosh, and diabetes at the end is the
And that's
kick.
right. I'm about to say the surprise ending. You already guessed is we get diabetes. Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But no, like I feel. Listen, you gotta know where you're going, and you gotta know what's culturally important to the city you're going to, or the cities you're going to, and then do that. There is a creator right now who is, for the past, I mean, year or so, him and his wife have been going to different cities. It's not consistent because I'm sure it's expensive, but they are working their way through the United States. But when they go to each state, they go get the thing that's like most important to that state when it comes to food. That makes sense.
It does.
Stop asking TikTok. Those people are not your friends. I think that's the bottom line here. They're not your friends. Anyway, I know we got to move on.
Well, someone from New York did something I think is noteworthy. To start off season 2 of their podcast, Mace dropped a freestyle.
Mhm.
And he chose an interesting beat. He chose "The Corner" by Common, which was produced by Kanye West,
Hmm.
and he dropped a freestyle about 2 minutes long.
He
So,
did.
did you get to hear it?
Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah, I thought.
I watched it twice.
Yeah, same. I thought he did a good job. I didn't expect
Mhm.
it, to be honest. I know Cameron's been doing freestyles over there from time to time. But I was like, okay, Mace, this was good. And I saw somebody say, like, man, we needed more Mace on Kanye production. I feel them on that. But it kind of was different time frames.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I think this was a good surprise. I think he did a great beat selection. It's not
Hmm.
one of the beats that everyone knows about or everyone would choose. It's not like a Millie that everyone has rapped over, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I thought this was really good. I thought it was a good beat selection, a good flow. He was
Hmm.
talking his shit, and
Yeah.
I was happy to hear Mace dropping some bars.
Yeah. I thought it was cool. Um, I thought it felt very classic.
Yeah,
It felt, I have my New York bias, so it felt very New York.
yeah.
I mean,
Well, he mentioned the choppy. He mentioned getting a chop cheese from Aki.
when he said Pluto, was he talking about Future?
No, he said the planet Pluto, right?
Oh, I thought he was talking about Future.
Because Future calls himself Pluto.
Yeah, and doesn't Future always talk about being high?
And maybe it was a double entendre. I immediately assumed
Could have
because he
been.
pointed up, I thought he meant Pluto, the planet, or the no longer planet, according to people. But it is possible that it was a double entendre. Good catch. I never think of Future, so that was a good catch on this.
Why you had to say it like that?
It's just the truth. I don't be thinking about Future.
I never think of Future.
I know.
All right. I mean, that's fine. I don't think of it much, but I just know that they call him Pluto or he calls
No, you're
himself
right. Yeah,
Pluto or something
you
like
are.
that. So I
Yep.
immediately said, "Oh, is Mace tapped in? Because I'm not." So I was like, "Is
No,
Mace
I think
tapped in?"
Mace is tapped in, but yeah, maybe it was a double entendre.
And it could have been. It could have been. I don't think of Future. I'm
I know.
gonna
I
use that
know.
one.
I know that's gonna be the clip. I know.
Of course.
I
Of
know.
course. I can't wait.
Spoke about Keith Lee for 30 minutes, but this will be the clip. I don't
This
think
will be
about Future. Yep.
absolutely. No,
Yeah.
I thought it was great. I always loved Mace. I always thought that Mace was great, and I thought that Mace was going to go on to do big things, which in his own right has. But
Yeah.
yeah, I thought his career. I guess what I'm saying, his rap career was going to be a lot longer.
I
Um,
understand.
so yeah, I'm never mad at a freestyle from Mace. I don't want a gospel freestyle, but this.
I was about to say this was not gospel.
No, it wasn't. It was good. It was good. No, I enjoyed it. And it was a cool way to start the podcast. I think to start the
Yeah.
season.
That was great. Listen, if that's how Mace is gonna rap, I'm down to hear a Mace album.
Yeah, and I wonder if maybe just creatively he also just feels maybe he's inspired. I feel like when you start doing other things creatively, when you open yourself up a little bit more to other experiences outside of maybe the one that's your main one, um, it kind of feeds back into that one in a
Right.
way. Because it kind of ignites something in you or makes you see things a little bit differently, changes your perspective, and allows you to kind of clear out some of that noise that prevents you from, performing, so to speak.
Right.
Um, so I think it's cool. I wonder if I wonder if doing the podcast now, having a season under his belt, he was kind of like, oh, I got this versatility. Let me see what's going on. Let me give
Right.
him a little something, So
And I'm sure Cam dropping all those freestyles
right,
had him thinking like, all right, maybe I could put a little something together too.
yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised if people have been asking, especially because of that. I
Right.
wouldn't be surprised if people have been saying, I mean, come on, get on the mic.
Right.
You got plenty of mics around here.
That's a fact.
So yeah, I think it's dope. Good for him. Good way to start the season.
Yeah. I mean, that was great. I don't have any complaints.
I don't either.
All right. Well, speaking of having a lot of mics around, Drake has a new stat, and he's always on the mic. And so uh
That sounded like a hater.
that just means he has a great output.
Oh, that's not what you said.
He's always on the mic.
Okay.
Anyway. So a stat has come out, another stat for Drake. Drake has all the stats like LeBron has all the stats.
Right.
So it says Drake, according to this, Drake is the only rapper to have a song chart on the Billboard Hot 100 every week of 2024.
That's pretty dope.
Yep.
Good for Drake. I like when we can say something nice about Drake. Cause I feel like as of late, it's not a lot of nice. So I think it's cool that we have something nice to say about Drake. Good for him. Congratulations, Drake. I know he's been dropping a lot of new music lately. I haven't been listening to it because I just don't want to. But I'm very excited for him in this year he's having. Although, is he? No.
I was like, maybe I shouldn't say anything
He's
then
having
because
a great year. I mean, they still playing Not Like Us everywhere you go. Anyway, it's just no. This is a great stat. Good for him. Congratulations to you, Drake.
yeah,
What you got to say?
not a damn
Nah,
thing.
nah, 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 nah. You can't do that. You're a podcaster on a podcast recording an episode. Say something. Find
Who
something.
cares? Of course, he's the only rapper to do it. He's the pop star. Hello, he's a pop star.
Don't need no hateration, holleration in this dancery. Let's get it percolating
I
while
feel
you're
like they
waiting.
sit at home and try to find new stats for Drake like they do with LeBron.
Well,
Like you
okay.
watch a game and they be like, "Oh, it's Tuesday night. We just want to let you know LeBron has never missed a free throw on a Tuesday." Shut up.
Okay, well, no shade. Who posted that? Because let's give credit to them. But I also have a thought.
It's a Billboard stat.
Is it a Billboard stat?
It's the Billboard Hot 100.
Oh.
That's the
Well,
stat. Drake is the only rapper to have a song chart on the Billboard Hot 100 every week of 2024. First of all, I already told y'all about this rapper shit. He's a pop star. Like, I, he's a pop star. I don't know why we keep doing this. I know I'm gonna get hate in the comments, and it's fine. But I mean, what is it that we expect of the pop star? Like, I don't understand.
I don't
No,
know.
I'm a hater. I'm not here to say congratulations. Sorry, not sorry.
Oh,
It's
what do
just
you?
like, okay, good for the pop star. Like, I don't understand.
All right.
Like,
Well,
I don't know, like who's supposed to be able to do that every week that's a rapper?
I don't know. I don't have an answer to that question.
Because there's no answer. It's a pop star thing. Like, he is the artist with the biggest mainstream appeal that rhymes words. So yes, this is going to happen. That's
That
okay, great.
works.
That rhymes words. I mean, what do you want me to say? Like,
All right. Well, that's fine. That's okay. You are entitled to your opinion. You know, listen,
Another
I just
another
like to bust your
accolade for
chops.
Drake.
No, seriously, I'm not mad at you. I just, you know, I mean, I would rather congratulate him, but I'm not mad at you. I totally understand what you're saying, and you make a very valid point that he's always going to be on the scene, whether people want to see him or not. He's there, and he's going to be there. So
He's a pop star who mingles with the other pop stars. Like
yeah,
what's the lady Camila Cabella? He's on 2 songs on her album.
yeah, Camila Cabello.
Hello, like do you see other rappers on these albums? Not really.
Oh, that's not
Like
necessary.
he's this has been Weeknights.
All right. Yep. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Goodbye.
Bye.